Welcome back to 5 Elements Tactical, self-defense, home defense, prepping, and survival. Today we're talking about home defense, and more specifically, firearms for home defense. Now, at my police job, when I teach police officers firearms training, I teach them a certain way. Civilians who've been training for a while, I teach them a different way. But in the last couple of years, I've got a flood of new gun owner students. Like they went to a local gun store, the gun store referred me as an instructor, and they've never shot before. But they bought the gun because, especially in the last couple of years, the world seems like it's just crazy and crime is on the rise, and people are a little bit scared or nervous or cautious, and they got it really because they want to be able to defend themselves, their homes, and their family. So when they come for instruction, we do some safety classes first, then we go to the range, we do some very, very basic marksmanship type stuff, and I just try to get them ready so that they can go to the range safely without me. Inevitably, the question comes up, all right, so Kyoshi, we did the safety class, we went to the range, I'm good to go, and I really got this for home defense. Now my question is, do I keep this thing loaded at home or not loaded at home or like ready to go? And that's what we're talking about today. Stay with me. What's up, warriors? This is Kyoshi Dave Herman with 5 Elements Tactical Training, here to share with you some warrior skills and drills that anyone can learn and everyone should know. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and thanks for stopping by. If you already follow us on social media and that's how you found your way over to this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell notification button and the little thing where it says all notifications, so YouTube will let you know when the next video drops, and you get all sorts of cool content from here as well. All right, so right off the bat, before we get into this, this is our classroom for all intents and purposes, and there's no live ammunition ever allowed in a classroom where you're doing firearm safety or gunsmithing or any of that type of stuff. And if you ever go to a class or a school and there's live ammunition in the room, leave. That is a tremendous, really dangerous red flag. So everything that's on the table is dummy rounds. They're inert ammunition, which means that there's no projectile, no gunpowder, no primer, no bang, no boom, no chance of this thing going off and hurting somebody. So we use that for training purposes in the classroom. They represent live ammunition. But again, in the classroom, no live ammunition. All right, so on the table, I have the 4 most common firearms that people purchase for home defense and then come to me for instruction or go to anybody for instruction. The first one is probably the shotgun, the pump action, whether it's 12 gauge or 20 gauge or whatever it is, whether it's a short one like this or a long one that goes against your shoulder. But, because it's pump action, there's no special licensing required, even in this crazy state of New York. So that's the number one, probably most requested firearm. The next one would be a pistol, which is something, held with one hand and supported with your other, not shouldered. And revolvers, I'm seeing less and less, but people still have them, still come for instruction. And semi-automatic pistol, which again, in this crazy state of New York, you got to have a license and a lot of paperwork involved in it and whatnot. And then the next one is some sort of semi-automatic rifle, whether it's an AR-15 platform or something else, but some sort of magazine-fed semi-automatic rifle. Now, we're going to keep these in a safe, right, so that curious eyes and hands can't get to them, that some dude working on your house to fix your cable, whatever, doesn't wander in and say, ooh, cool gun, I'm going to either come back later for this or take it now when nobody's looking. So we're going to make sure that all of our stuff is locked away safely so that, that's just responsible gun ownership. And responsible gun ownership is safe gun ownership. And safe gun ownership is making sure that you're keeping your stuff safe when you are around it, and especially when you are not around it. We'll go over with each of these. But the basic ways that you will see, the 3 conditions, I guess you would call it, is, so right now this is unloaded. There's nothing in, no magazine, nothing in the mag well, nothing in the chamber. So let's say this is in the safe and I hear the bump in the night and I got to get my glasses on and get my flashlight and get over to my safe. And depending on what kind of safe you have, that'll take a certain amount of time. So do you have one with a dial, like the combination lock one? Do you have to get a key that you're going to use a key to open it up? Is it one of those ones that has a fingerprint where you use your fingerprint to open the safe? So whatever thing we had to do when we hear the bump in the night or the door gets kicked in or the kids are screaming, oh my God, there's somebody in the house, you're like, oh my God moment. When we go to get the gun from the safe, regardless of what kind of safe it is, once we get that safe open, the gun inside is going to be in one of 3 conditions: unloaded. So basically, I'd have to get the gun, get the magazine, insert the magazine, charge the gun, and now it's ready to fire. That's like probably the safest way you could keep it, so that like nobody's going to get to it and hurt themselves or hurt somebody else even by accident. The second way that it would be in there is, so this is empty, slide this forward, and now it's loaded. So now meaning that there's ammunition in the gun, but nothing in the chamber. So we'd have to go through all the stuff, open the safe, take out the firearm, charge it, and now it's ready to fire. And the third way to keep it would be that it is, when you put it into the safe, you load it and charge it and store it. So that means that bump in the night, get yourself ready, get to your safe, open the safe, take the gun out, and you're ready to fire. Now, whether you keep it in a holster, that's a whole other level of safety or readiness, or however you want to, whatever your home defense plan is, which you should have one, and you should practice it often. The question comes up, like, is it safe like that? Like, yeah, as long as you follow the 4 basic rules of firearm safety, like treat it like it's loaded, keep it pointed in a safe direction, which is away from people, keep your finger off the trigger, outside the trigger guard, on the frame of the gun, until you have your target acquired and you have decided to shoot. And be sure of your target, what's in front of it, in back of it, above it, below it, to the right and to the left, because you are responsible for every bullet that exits your gun until it stops. All right, so now each one of these guns loads a little different, and fires a little different, and you charge it a little differently, meaning like you go from having the bullets in there to actually having one in the chamber. So a shotgun owner, right? So again, there's no ammunition in here. So imagine you hear the bump in the night and you're like, oh my God, I have to take it out, load it. Oh my God, they're coming up the stairs. Oh my God, my wife's screaming. And then charge it. I mean, that sounds like a lot of steps. So obviously, like, shotguns have a safety selector switch. So you could have it in some sort of safe, loaded and charged with the safety on. So you still have to open the safe, get it out, take the safety off, and then be ready to fire. Or how a lot of people like to do this is where they keep it loaded but not charged. So for instance, a lot of my students are like, look, I'm still nervous having a gun in the house, and I'm not sure if I really want like that ready to go. I'd like that extra step before I fire because I just want to be sure that and I say, listen, it's up to you. You have to do what you feel most safe and comfortable with. As you get more comfortable with training and practicing and how guns work and that they don't just go off by themselves and all that type of stuff, the more comfortable you'll get with, if you're ready and if you want to keep it loaded and charged, where all you have to do is take it out, turn the safety off, and be ready to defend yourself and your home and your family. They want to be able to have it loaded but not charged. Take it out of the safe, rack it. So now they just basically took a round from the cylindrical magazine, fed one into the chamber. Now it's loaded and ready to go. This is the point you would take your safety off and be ready to defend yourself, your home, and your family. Along the same lines of like a pump action shotgun, some people prefer an old school wheel gun, revolver, right? Now, if you're going to keep this unloaded, right, in the safe, all right, I don't want it loaded, I don't want any loaded guns in my house, and that's fine. Oh my God, I got to take it out. Now, even if you have a speed loader, you have to basically take the gun, the speed loader, load the rounds under duress while you're shaking. Oh my God, hope they all go in. Oh my God, then load and then be ready to. Then load and be ready to go. Now imagine having a revolver unloaded with no speed loader. That's like the cowboys you see like in the old westerns where they're taking bullets out of their pocket and loading them one at a time. And like, do I load it and then just start shooting and I only have 6 rounds? If your revolver even has 6 rounds, I have a revolver that also has 5 rounds. And now be ready to go. So I suggest for revolver owners, I would keep it loaded. There is no loaded versus charged. It's just loaded, and then once you start pulling the trigger, it starts firing. So if you don't feel safe with that, then maybe a revolver is not the gun for you. And if it is, maybe you should have some sort of, other plan to it. Or just get comfortable with keeping it loaded and ready to go. Safely, locked up in a safe. All right, next is a semi-automatic pistol. So you have a pistol and a magazine. The magazine should definitely be loaded because as long as it's separate from one another, it can't fire. It needs the magazine to be placed inside. But to get your pistol out, your magazine, load, charge, and then be ready. If that, it's a quick process, but even that process takes a second or two. And under duress, your heart is pounding, your family's screaming. Like, just imagine whatever whatever thing you're like prepping for, or like anticipating, like worst case scenario, in that moment, out of a deep sleep to heart pounding, like, could you do that? It requires a little bit of fine motor skills, a little bit of thought process, a handful of steps. Could you do that on a moment's notice from a deep sleep to like a extreme duress situation? And if you can, or you think you can, and the way you would be able to is by practicing often. The next way to do this, of course, would be, so I have it empty and loaded, which means I'd have to take it out and remember to charge it before I was going to like be ready to defend myself, my family, and my home. Or the third way is you just know that I want to store it that way. So you load the magazine, you charge it, whether it's in a holster or not, it in the safe. Like you set it so that when you open the safe, you could reach in and grab it right away. You don't want to just fling it in there and have to like worry about like orientating into your hand and that type of thing. You want to be able to just open the safe, get it, and it's ready to go. Whichever status you're going to keep it in, whether it's empty, loaded, or charged. All right, now a semi-automatic rifle. So everybody has different thoughts on all of these, but you know, to have it, like, I have more than one gun, and some of my guns are like the ones that I use for work every day. I open the safe, I get my gun and go to work, come home, put my gun away. If I'm going to be doing something else, I take my one I carry for work, put that away, take my off-duty or like you know, my off-duty carry, my everyday carry, put that one on and go about my day. I live in a house that has different floors. Each floor has something that in an emergency I could grab real quick and defend myself, my family, and my home if I needed to. But then I have a whole bunch of other guns that are safe and empty and unloaded just like this. Now something like this, I keep it where, again, it's in a different safe. It needs to be big enough to hold long arms or rifles, but the magazines are close enough by that, again, if I had to grab it and load it, I could. So the first status or the first condition to keep it would be unloaded with a magazine close by. So again, it can't fire without the magazine. So as long as there's nothing in here or up in here, it can't shoot. So the next thing would be like from here, you'd have to get it, load it, charge it, and then be ready to defend yourself, your family, and your home. The second status of this would be where the bolt is forward and a magazine is inserted. So now you'd have to take it out of the safe, charge it, and then be ready to fire. And the third status would be where it is already loaded, already charged, meaning there's bullets in the magazine, bullets in the chamber, one bullet in the chamber. Now, because it has a safety selector switch, of course that's going to be on safe till you're ready to fire. Even if you keep it loaded and charged, you would need to take it, maybe sling it, shoulder it, and then when you're ready to fire, to flip off the safety and engage. There is one way that I would caution you that I've had some students tell me that they keep it like this, and I think it's a little bit of a dangerous situation. Loaded into the rifle with the bolt locked to the rear. So no, I keep it loaded that way, and I'd have to get it and then, you know, hit the side and close the bolt. But watch this. That's how easy it is for the bolt to close on its own. So I mean, if you're carrying it, keeping it in that condition, you might as well just keep the bolt closed with it loaded and charged. Or keep the bolt forward, loaded, not charged. Just remember, whichever way you're going to do it, you want to do it every single time, because with any one of these things, part of any like concealed carry, home defense, self-defense, anything like that, it's all about muscle memory. Like, you're always going to have your knife in the same place, and your flashlight in the same place, and your wallet in the same place, and your gun in the same place, and the ammunition in the same place, and your spare magazine in the same place, and all that stuff is muscle memory that you got to practice as part of your, like, your plan. You know, those who fail to plan are planning to fail, right? So again, anytime I cover this topic, people either love me or hate me, because you know, I basically just say, look, you're going to do what feels most comfortable for you. What do? I do what feels most comfortable for me, which is I want it ready so that, you know, a police officer doesn't carry a gun where they got to take it out and then rack it or load it and rack it. You need, like, you know, statistically, 3 rounds in 3 seconds or less from 3 yards or less. So we practice marksmanship 25 yards with the pistol and 50, 100 yards and 200 yards with the rifle and stuff. But the truth is that most civilian or off-duty encounters happen in 3 seconds or less. There's around 3 shots fired from 3 yards or less, which is closer than me to the camera right now. So a lot of times it's that, oh my God, and to add any sort of having a load or charge or rack or like extra step could mean the difference between you saving yourself or your family and not. So for me, I prefer to keep it as ready as I can. I keep it safe, in a safe. I have different safes for different purposes. I have one with a combination, like old school, that never fails. I have fingerprint ones that rely on a battery. I have the key one that relies on me remembering where the key is and making sure that nobody else knows where the key is. So for me, the ones that I use every day and the ones that I have like there for the purpose of defending myself, my home, and my family, like on a moment's notice, they are loaded and charged. And the longest part of this whole thing is getting to the safe and opening the safe. So again, we have other videos on safes and whatnot and things like that. But I'm curious, like, I'm one instructor. I teach the way I was taught. I teach the way I practice. I teach the way I teach and do stuff. But I'm always interested in hearing what other people have to say and seeing the conversation that kind of takes place in the comment section below. So, you know, just be nice, be kind, be polite, be respectful, which is one of my favorite things about all the viewers and subscribers to the channel. But let me know what you think. Let me know how you do it. And more important, let me know why you do it. And if you're one of the people that you don't feel comfortable with that yet, then practice and train and get better at it. Anyway, if you made it this far and you like what I'm teaching or preaching, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and like this video. If you're loving it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you gotta have it, make sure the bell notification button and the little thing where it says all notifications, so YouTube will let you know when the next video drops. If you're really digging it and you want more, you can find me on all social media platforms at 5 Elements Tactical. That's all I got for now, warriors. So until our paths cross again, pray for the best, prepare for the rest. I'm Kyoshi Dave Herman with 5 Elements Tactical Training. Thanks for watching.